Hello and welcome aboard. The carriage is warm and the rain has begun its soft rhythm against the window. Our journey through the quiet of the night is ready to begin. Find your comfortable place to rest. Settle in and let the steady sound of the rails carry you away from the noise of the day. There is nothing else you need to do now. Just breathe and let the story unfold. The conductor's whistle fades into the hush, and I settle deeper into my corner seat, watching droplets chase one another down the glass. A faint lamp glows above the aisle, soft as a half-remembered lullaby. Its light drifts across folded coats, closed eyes, slow breaths. We move through fields that sleep beneath mist, their silhouettes gentle and uncertain, like ink dissolving in warm water. No fences, no loud declarations, only blurred hedgerows sliding past, impatient grays and greens. Somewhere out there, a river turns in its sleep, mirroring the cloud-hidden moon. I picture it breathing, silver lungs rising and falling, with every bend of our track. Across from me, a young man leans against the window, earbuds tucked in, a smile hovering as if held for someone, waiting at a distant station. I wonder what melody holds him, what promise he's nursing beneath his coat. Perhaps a reunion, perhaps a goodbye softened by time. The carriage sighs over points in the rail, a low hum deep in the bones, the sort of sound that steadies thought, the way a heartbeat steadies hands. I match my breathing to it, long inhale, longer exhale, letting each mile fold itself behind us, like a page gently turned. We sweep past an unlit platform, benches glisten with rain, and a vending machine blinks red to no one. For a moment I imagine stepping off there, walking the platform alone, letting the train pull away, and carrying the silence like a lantern. But the doors stay shut, and the dream remains weightless. Memory drifts up, quiet as steam. I think of a childhood bedroom, where rain tapped the roof, with the very same rhythm. Back then, time felt endless, a soft cotton stretched across nights, not yet heavy with decisions. I would count raindrops until sleep won. Certain morning would forgive every worry. Now a year stacked behind me, like stations already passed. Some cherished, some barely noticed, all receding into dusk. Regret tries to speak sometimes, but tonight it lacks the strength. The train is carrying more than passengers. It bears a gentle amnesty, 4 untold apologies. An elderly woman 2 rows ahead rests her head on a knotted scarf. Her hands, folded like closed wings, hold the echoes of countless letters written, doors open, doors closed. In her stillness I sense a library of stories, volumes worn yet shining. I send her a silent wish for peaceful dreams, the kind that leave a smile upon waking. Outside, cattails bow in the wind's hush, and distant farmhouses glow, small hearth lights cupped against the dark. I picture families inside, tea steaming, socks drying by the stove. Their laughter, if it comes, is muffled by curtains and night, yet some part of it reaches me, warmth without words. The train slows, and the rhythm of wheels stretches into longer heartbeats. My eyelids follow, fluttering down like soft curtains. Each breath grows broader, a tide pulling farther from the shore of waking. I reflect on the notion of passage, how we measure ourselves in departures and arrivals, though most of living happens in between. Here, in this corridor of motion, I feel permission to simply be. No milestones to touch, no finish lines to cross, only the steady presence of now. We are all travelers, cradling small galaxies of longing, hopes orbiting regrets, futures whispering to memories. Yet in these quiet kilometers, everything aligns. Stars flicker through breaks in cloud, and the rain smooths every rough edge. If I listen closely, I can almost hear the countryside breathe, a deep contented sigh that tells me nothing is truly lost, only transformed, renamed, returned. Another platform slides by, its clock hands silver and patient. No one boards, no one alights. Still, the doors part for a moment, honoring the possibility of change. Even when none arrives, there's grace in that gesture, a lesson about readiness, with or without outcome. The young man across from me stirs, opens his eyes, and meets my glance. We exchange small, sleepy smiles, acknowledgments of shared shelter. In this moving cocoon, words would be too heavy here, so we let silence speak. Above the fields, a break in the clouds reveals Orion, his belt bright and familiar. I think of ancient travelers, plotting courses by those same points of light, their hopes pinned to sparks millions of years old. It humbles me, yet offers comfort. We ride old rails beneath older fires, and somehow the journey continues. The conductor walks past, ticket stamper muted, footsteps softened by the carpeted aisle. He nods, as though blessing each sleeper, each wandering mind. Rainlight caresses the window, casting slow rivers of shadow across my palms. I close my eyes and let the pattern paint dreams inside. Soft hues of evergreen, distant thunder like a lullaby drummer. Just beyond the hills, breath slows further, thoughts thin like morning mist. I release the names, the dates, the small unfinished sentences. They can wait at some future station. Tonight belongs to drifting. The train gathers gentle speed again. Yet in my chest, everything decelerates, a feather floating down a well of quiet. Heartbeat, rain beat, wheel beat, three instruments weaving the same diminishing song. I will fall asleep soon, head against cool glass, carried through unseen valleys. Tomorrow will arrive, softly like dawn through lace curtains, and I will step onto another platform, lighter than I was. For now, I let go. Outside, fields, lights, and shadows blur into a single stroke of calm watercolor. Inside, the carriage hums its endless hush, and somewhere between the rails and the rain, sleep opens its wide, patient arms. The rain is a gentle murmur tonight, a hush that seems to wrap the carriage in layers of soft gray wool. I sit by the window, palms open, letting the glass cool my skin, as streaks of water trace slow constellations along the pane. The train glides through the countryside with the certainty of a lullaby. Dark fields ripple past, wet velvet under a quiet moon, while distant barns flash by like brief thoughts, too shy to linger. Inside, the lights are dimmed. Their glow settles over us, like candlelight at the end of a long day. Most passengers doze beneath jackets, heads nestled in scarf pillows, breathing in unison with the engine's low hum. Their faces soften, unburdened for the space of a few miles. I count empty seats the way sailors once counted stars, mapping out little territories of quiet. Each vacant place feels like an unvoiced secret, a story that stayed home tonight. Perhaps someone missed this train because they paused to kiss a sleeping child, or because they simply stood in the doorway and listened to the rainfall, letting time stretch generous and slow. The aisle smells faintly of coffee grounds and damp wool. I lean back, close my eyes, and picture the countryside as a single, ever-breathing organism. Hedgerows for veins, river bends for gentle lungs. Our train a silver pulse coursing through. Across from me sits a woman in a moss-green coat. She isn't sleeping, but she drifts, eyes half open, fixed on something I cannot see. Between her fingers rests a closed notebook with a frayed elastic band. Every so often her thumb nudges the edge, as though deciding whether to open it or keep its contents safe for another night. I imagine pages of pressed leaves, or letters never sent, or sketches of rain-spotted windows, just like this one. Another mile slides beneath us. We pass a siding where old freight cars stand rust-quiet under yellow lamps. Their chipped paint reminds me of forgotten playground swings, of summers that tasted like iron on the tongue. Years move the way these cars do, shifted, sidetracked, yet somehow still here. Echoes lingering in their hollow bellies. A soft chime announces an upcoming stop. No one stirs. Still, the doors will open, letting night air swirl through the vestibule, cool and earthy, carrying hints of wet cedar. I picture stepping onto the platform alone, feeling the rain find new freckles on my face, watching the train recede, like a taper's final glow. The thought is weightless, a feather of possibility resting on my palm. I release it, let it drift away. Time, I reflect, has two tempos. There is the quick beat of clocks and schedules, and then there is this, the slow, tender rhythm of being carried forward, without effort. Here the second tempo rules. Regret loosens its knot, and hope takes on the gentler shape of patience. The woman in the moss green coat finally opens her notebook. She writes one line, two, then smiles, a small interior sunrise, and closes it again. Whatever she captured, it belongs to the night now, stitched into the train's own heartbeat. We pass an orchard hemmed in by fog. Bare branches extend upward, black lace against the charcoal sky. I imagine the trees dreaming of blossoms yet to come, holding within them a promise that even cold soil cannot mute. I breathe that promise in, let it settle beside my ribs, like an unhurried bird. Another row of sleepers shifts. Someone's phone slips to the floor, screen glowing blue frost, before it dims. In the lull that follows, I hear the rain's finer notes, pings, taps, faint brush swishes, a private percussion, meant for anyone awake enough to listen. I think about a friend I have not called in months. Our last conversation ended with comfortable silence, each of us trusting the other would understand. In this humming dark, I send a quiet greeting down the rails, believing that distance, too, can be softened by thought. Somehow the gift feels delivered. The train slows again. A platform slides into view. Wooden shelter, single bulb, a timetable fluttering in wind. No figures wait beneath the light, yet the doors sigh open all the same. An invitation without expectation. We linger, we breathe, and then we drift onward. The woman across from me has fallen asleep, notebook resting on her chest, like a lullaby finished mid-verse. I offer her a silent good night, grateful for the honest vulnerability of strangers sharing motion. Outside, hills rise and fall, dark whales under a silver sea, and between their backs lie ponds, mirroring scattered constellations. I feel the earth turning beneath us, steady, patient, unworried by our small stories. I let my eyelids descend and focus on the triad of sounds. Rain, rails, breath. Each overlaps, slows, becoming a woven river that carries me light as driftwood. With my last waking thought, I trace the outline of tomorrow in soft pencil rather than ink, leaving room for smudges, for edits made kindly. Behind that thought, a quieter one waits, whispering that even pencils can be set down, that sometimes the page is sweetest when blank. The train hums beneath me, a cradle on iron lullabies. Rain smooths the night sky, fields blur into charcoal ripples, and somewhere between stations and stars, sleep unbuttons its coat, sits beside me, and closes my eyes. The carriage rocks with an easy sway, as if the night itself were humming a lullaby. Rain keeps steady rhythm on the glass, tiny fingers writing gentle riddles I never rush to solve. Beyond the window, hedgerows breathe out mist, each field a blurred watercolor of ash and jade. Cows stand in distant clusters, their silhouettes barely darker than the night around them, patient witnesses to passing trains and passing years. Inside, overhead lamps glow the color of honey, thick and warm, pooling light on folded coats, closed books, tilted heads. A pair of teenagers share earbuds 2 rows ahead, their shoulders touching like shy commas in a quiet sentence. I catch only a faint hiss of music, something slow, something woven with hush. The wheels murmur over joints in the rail, elongated heartbeats beneath the floor. I match my breath to them, inhale on the clack, exhale on the lull, and feel my pulse settle into their calm cadence. An announcement drifts through the speaker, soft as a yawn. Next station in 15 minutes. No transfers tonight, please rest easy. The conductor's voice fades into static, leaving a hush vast enough to think in. I think of timetables, how we measure living by departures, arrivals, colored boxes on calendars, digital clocks glowing stern in morning kitchens. Yet tonight, the only schedule that matters is rain falling when it chooses, and dreams boarding whenever eyelids grow heavy. A middle-aged man sits opposite, tie loosened, suitcase upright between his shoes. He taps a rhythm on the handle, a private code, perhaps counting regrets, perhaps keeping pace with a promise to be gentler tomorrow. Now and then he smiles at nothing, as though replaying a memory too tender to share. We glide past a siding of freight cars, their metal skins streaked with rust and moonlight. Graffiti blooms there, vivid even in darkness. Arrows, birds, names that once mattered greatly to someone. I wonder if the artists ride trains too, changing towns like shirts, leaving whispers of color in places they might never revisit. A soft perfume drifts down the aisle, lavender mingled with rain-damp wool. It reminds me of my grandmother, hushing the household at nightfall, teacup in hand, saying the kettle's whistle sounded like distant thunder. If you listen kindly, she believed any sound could be comforting. Once wrapped in patience, lightning flickers far off, low on the horizon, just a pale pulse behind the hills. No thunder reaches us. The storm keeps its conversation private. Still, the light feels like a camera flash, capturing landscapes that will never make it into albums. The man with the suitcase closes his eyes. A muscle in his jaw softens. I picture him arriving home, key sliding in the door, warm lamp greeting him like an old friend. Maybe someone waits awake. Maybe only the ticking clock welcomes him. But either way, the house accepts him whole. The teenagers begin to sway, heads touching now and then, muffled laughter dissolving into breaths. Their shared song unspools into silence, until they too grow still. Two small galaxies of possibility, orbiting each other under the same thin blanket of sleep. We pass an empty platform. A single bench gleams under sodium light, raindrops dancing on its metal slats. For a heartbeat, I imagine myself stepping off, sitting there alone, letting the train vanish into the dark, while I listen to nothing but rainfall in my own pulse. The thought feels clean, like pressing a cool cloth to the forehead of worry. Then the scene slides away, and the tracks pull us onward. I recall a letter I never sent, pages now yellowing in a drawer. It was meant to say I'm sorry, and also thank you, but somehow I trusted the feeling itself, to travel without paper. Tonight I wonder if it ever arrived. Perhaps apologies are like seeds on the wind. Some find soil, others rest quietly in gutters, still noble in their intent. A new scent rises, fresh coffee from the buffet cart, faint cinnamon, hint of chocolate. The warmth wanders through the carriage, settling over shoulders like a borrowed shawl. No one speaks. Words might shatter the fragile architecture of hush we've built together. Outside, the countryside changes mood again. Pine groves cluster close to the tracks, branches shimmering with rain pearls. In their stillness I sense slow purpose, decades measured not by timetables, but by rings hidden beneath bark. The train begins to ease its pace. Momentum stretches thin, a silk ribbon unspooling to nothing. Lights of the next station appear, soft halos floating in drizzle. We are almost there, yet arrival feels theoretical, a thought postponed until eyelids finally lift. I glance once more at the sleeping passengers. Each face is a small moon, craters of hope, seas of forgetting, glowing with borrowed lamplight. We share this fragile orbit for only a handful of miles, yet the quiet between us feels permanent, a secret written in water. The rain intensifies, but its voice grows softer, as though respectful of those already dreaming. Drops slow upon the glass, stretching into elongated teardrops that glide downward in deliberate meditation. Their patience invites my own. I close my eyes, listen to the rails reciting their ancient poem. Breath by breath, sentences shorten, commas lengthen, until even thoughts arrive late, unhurried, blurred at the edges. The carriage glides, almost stops, then gathers itself again, a cradle rocked by unseen hands. I let go of timetables, of letters unsent, of stations passing like gentle sighs. Everything important is here. Rain, rhythm, the hush of shared travel. Sleep loosens its ribbon, ties it softly across my eyes. The world beyond the window dissolves into a dark meadow where stars bloom slowly. I drift there weightless, content to be one more quiet passenger. on this night train through the rain. The train drifts through another hush of wet countryside. Rain whispers against the glass, as if reading sleepy verses only the dark can hear. Cabin lights glow dim amber, soft enough to keep secrets. I lean back and loosen my grip on the day. In the reflection, my face hovers beside blurred hedgerows, half here, half dissolving into night. The wheels murmur a rhythm older than memory, coaxing thought to slow. We pass an unlit farm lane. A single post box stands at the corner, red in the shadows like a small, steady heart. For an instant, I wonder if letters still find their way there or if they too prefer digital wings. Across the aisle, a man in a charcoal coat studies an antique pocket watch. Its chain disappears into his vest, a thin glint of silver disappearing into years gone by. He closes the lid with a sigh that sounds like closing doors on opportunities gently missed. A teenage girl occupies the seat behind him, hoodie drawn over her eyes. She taps a quiet beat on the window, matching raindrops to a song only she knows. Every so often, her lips move, mouthing lyrics that soften her frown. When we slow for a forgotten halt, the platform lights blink awake. No one waits beneath them. They simply stand guard over nothing in particular, halos on wooden posts, patient and kind. I remember a childhood summer ride with my father, both of us silent after a small quarrel. He pointed out fireflies flickering beyond the window, saying even disagreements glow if you give them time. Tonight, I search the fields for tiny sparks, but the rain keeps them tucked away. The conductor walks by and nods, polished shoes barely whispering on the carpet. He carries a stack of blank tickets between gloved fingers, tiny invitations to some undiscovered dawn. One stray stub flutters loose, landing by my shoe like a white feather. I pick it up and slip it inside my coat. An unclaimed ticket, destination blank, timestamp unreadable. It feels symbolic, though I'm not sure of what. Memory drifts to a friend I once promised to visit. We mark dates on calendars, then let workdays erode our intentions. I never boarded that train, and the friendship thinned like fog at sunrise. Outside, the landscape opens into wide meadow. Moonlight, filtered through cloud, pools in shallow silver lakes between tufts of grass. Cows stand motionless, statues carved by silence. A soft jolt nudges us onto a siding. Rust kisses the rail's edges here, and wildflowers grow between sleepers. The pace drops to a gentle crawl, almost a meditation in motion. The girl in the hoodie lowers her hood. Her hair flashes neon under the cabin light, bright as an early promise. She smiles at her phone, perhaps reading a message that forgives or welcomes. I imagine stories for everyone aboard. The man with the watch attending a reunion he both dreads and desires. The girl chasing a first love that still believes in trains. I picture myself stepping onto a distant platform, holding no luggage except this blank ticket. Maybe someone waves, maybe no one does. Either way, arrival feels secondary to the softness of travel. We pick up speed again, rails humming a lower octave. Raindrops gather into rivulets, drawing slow paths down the pane. They braid, part, reunite, tiny demonstrations of departure and return. I think of time not as a straight line but as parallel tracks. Moments diverge, meet again, echoing that dance of rain. Regret loses its sharpness within that perspective. What was missed may yet be met elsewhere. A sleepy announcement crackles overhead. We will approach our next stop in 15 minutes, though no one seems eager to rise. Voices of travelers blur into a soft murmur, as if speaking through pillows. I close my eyes and feel the carriage tilt on a curve. The motion is almost parental, rocking me with gentle intent. Breath slows, heartbeat matches distant rail joints. Somewhere beyond the dark horizon, the sea waits. I smell imagined salt, hear gulls stitched into the hush. Perhaps we will never reach it tonight, but knowing water lies ahead steadies me. The pocket watch man pulls a photograph from his wallet. He traces a fingertip along its edge, a woman in sunlit garden, smiling at something outside the frame. He folds the picture closed, presses it to his lips once, then tucks it away. Kindness glows in small, unspoken rituals. A stranger adjusts a sleeping child's blanket. Someone lowers a blind to spare another the glare of distant yard lights. I remember standing on a bridge years ago, throwing pebbles into dark water. Each splash felt like permission to release one worry. Tonight, the rain does that work for me, pebble after gentle pebble upon the roof. We glide past another unmanned station. The sign reads Stillford, a name I've never seen on any timetable. I whisper it aloud. It feels like a lull in word form. Cabin lights dim further. The teenage girl yawns, tucks earbuds away, rests her temple on folded arms. Her phone screen fades, relinquishing its blue glow. I am left with the hush of rails and breathing. Thoughts loosen, drifting like feathers through half-lit space. Soon even they will settle, too drowsy to hover. Before sleep claims me, I unfold the blank ticket. On its back, someone has penciled a tiny heart, no larger than a raindrop. I smile, feeling as though the universe has endorsed the night's quiet promise. I tuck the stub into my pocket again, safer now, a secret companion. The hum deepens, windows fog slightly, erasing the world outside. Inside, dreams gather patiently, waiting their turn. I breathe in the scent of damp fabric and distant coffee. I breathe out the last rigid corners of the day. Everything softens. The train presses forward, slow, tender, inevitable. Rain eases into mist. Night folds its velvet wings around the carriage. Somewhere ahead, dawn writes its first pale sentence across the sky. For now, though, my eyes close and the wheels carry me deeper into rest. The unclaimed ticket stays warm against my chest, whispering, arrivals can wait. For now, simply ride. Rain presses gentle fingers against the glass. Steady, patient, never hurrying the night. I lean my forehead to the cool pain and feel the train's hum echo through my bones, a quiet metronome beneath every breath. Outside, the countryside drifts by like a slow film reel. Hedges blur into charcoal ribbons. Ponds catch stray lamplight and hold it briefly, then release it back to the dark. A scarecrow stands alone in a stubbled field, coat flapping just enough to look alive, yet clearly content with stillness. The carriage is hushed. Overhead bulbs glow faint amber, casting soft halos on folded newspapers and half-closed eyes. Someone flips a page, then stops, letting words fade into the lull of wheels on rails. Across the aisle sits a young woman, with a straw hat resting on her lap, rain darkened at the brim. She sketches quietly, pencil darting, pausing, darting again, as though dawn might arrive sooner if she completes the line. I wonder what she sees in her mind. Perhaps not this dim carriage, but a sunlit terrace, or a memory she refuses to let slip unrecorded. We slide past an unlit station. Benches glisten empty. A timetable flutters unnoticed. The doors stay closed, yet I feel a tug. The allure of stepping onto that deserted platform, breathing air so still it might belong to another year. I stay seated, allowing the thought to drift on, like a paper boat in slow current. The train picks up speed, but my heartbeat slows. Each mile gathered under the wheels seems to fold time, tucking worries deeper into creases, where they cannot disturb the night. A couple 2 rows ahead whisper, their voices soft as pages turned in a library. Every so often the woman laughs, shoulders rising, eyes sparkling, before she nestles back against the man's arm. I catch fragments, a shared dessert, a wrong platform once taken, a joke about umbrellas turning traitor in high winds. Their tenderness steadies me, feels like watching 2 lanterns draw closer on a foggy path. The speaker crackles, announcing we will cross an old stone viaduct shortly. No one stirs, most are drifting towards sleep. Yet I picture the arches beneath us, spanning a valley silvered by rain, and feel the faint thrill of height. Not danger, only distance, measured in quiet breaths and muted echoes. Memory arrives unbidden, a soft footprint on the mind's wet sand. I recall walking home one autumn evening, leaves tumbling in russet spirals, my pockets filled with nothing but time. A friend at my side spoke of plans, cities to see, songs to learn. I nodded, believing we had all the seasons ahead. We still speak, but always by screens now, our voices buffered by invisible miles. I make a note, silently, to call tomorrow, to let shared laughter cross real air again. The straw hat artist lifts her drawing toward the light. Rainy silhouettes of fields and telegraph poles fan across the page in swift graphite strokes. She smiles at the sketch, then tucks it into a canvas folder, as gently as placing a bird back in its nest. Her eyelids droop, pencil slips from her fingers, and rolls against the seat back, coming to rest without a sound. Outside, a cluster of farmhouses passes, windows amber like small hearts. I imagine boots by doors, kettles humming, dogs circling before sleep. Their simple, unseen rituals soothe me, proof that peace can be found. In rooms no larger than a heartbeat, the train eases, wheels clicking slower, spacing the syllables of their lullaby. Rain too moderate, drops stretching then gliding down the pane, in languid silver threads. Each one leaves a clear track, through which a single star peers, steady and unblinking. I think about regrets, how they collect like unopened letters, in a desk drawer we avoid. Tonight the drawer stands ajar, but the letters feel lighter, ink fading to a forgiving gray. Perhaps morning will invite me to read them without weight. A soft perfume, orange blossom, floats from a nearby coat collar. It reminds me of spring anniversaries, of promises written on cafe napkins, and kept more or less by both hearts involved. Nostalgia warms but does not burn. It settles like a shawl over shoulders, offering comfort without demand. The couple ahead finally still, hands entwined, breaths synchronized. Their quiet conveys everything words might ruin. I send them a silent blessing. May every arrival be as gentle as this moment. We cross the viaduct. I picture dark water far below, rippling under faint moonlit veins. For a breath span, our carriage seems to float weightless, suspended between sky and reflection. Then rails find earth again, and the hum resumes softer than before. Lights of the next station emerge, hazy orbs behind drifting rain veil. Yet arrival feels theoretical, a suggestion rather than a command. I sink deeper into the seat, letting eyelids lower, thoughts thinning to brief sparks. The last thing I notice is the straw hat artist's pencil resting in the aisle, gently rocking with each sway of the train. It sketches nothing now, yet its quiet motion feels like a signature. At the bottom of tonight's story, breath merges with wheel beat with rain beat, all sounds merging to a single hush. Fields, regrets, promises, stations. Everything glides into soft blur. Sleep draws near. Patient conductor punching no tickets, only closing eyes. Somewhere beyond the pane, a lone owl lifts from a fence post, its wings silent against the dark. I follow its arc into dreaming, carried through gentle rain, trusting the track beneath, and the night ahead. Rain rasps gently, a hush of silver threads against the window. Each droplet glides downward, meeting its twin, merging, moving on. I watch the slow race, lulled by their delicate persistence. The train rocks in measured cadence like a cradle too big for one dream. Metal wheels hum a bass note beneath every breath I take. Carriage lights, dim to amber, soak the aisle in honeyed calm. Outside, the countryside blurs into charcoal washes and wet ink strokes. Hedgerows melt into one another, softening the borders between fields. Here and there, a lone farm lantern glows, the world's smallest lighthouse. Those lanterns fascinate me. They appear suddenly, hover for a heartbeat, then dissolve behind rain-washed glass. Little promises that someone somewhere is still awake, still tending warmth. A sleepy attendant drifts past, checking nothing in particular. His badge catches light, gleaming once, then returning to dusk. We trade nods, silent proof that companionship can be wordless and momentary. A young boy and his father sit 3 rows ahead on the left. The boy's head droops, curls brushing his jacket, teddy bear hugged tight. The father traces invisible circles on the child's back, patient as tide. I imagine their destination, perhaps grandparents with cocoa on the stove, or a seaside cottage where gulls call the morning awake. Either story feels right, both whisper of tenderness kept alive by travel. My own reflection wavers in the black glass. Rain streaks carve rivers across my faint outline, erasing edges. I look peaceful, softer than the daytime version of me. Stations slip past without stopping. Platforms slick with drizzle, benches shining like wet stone, clocks steady. No one waits, yet the lamps burn on, loyal to possibility. Memory nudges. An evening years ago when I missed a train on purpose. Stayed on the platform, letting the city's neon chew the edges of rain. I wanted one extra hour of weightless indecision, nothing else. I think now of how rare that luxury feels. This permission to linger between here and there. Trains are good at teaching the beauty of in-between. Across the aisle, an elderly man folds a newspaper with ceremonial care. He smooths each crease, tucks it into a battered leather satchel. A faint scent of pipe tobacco escapes, warm and nostalgic. He closes his eyes, mouth forming a line of quiet contentment. What headlines has he decided to leave behind for the night? Perhaps all of them. Wisdom often begins with selective forgetting. The rain intensifies, drumming softly, never urgent. Drops tap a lullaby, rhythmic but willing to slow with the heart. I breathe deeper, letting shoulders sink another inch into the seat. We cross a narrow bridge, its beams clanging a brief metallic chord. Below, a creek foams, mottled by moonlight filtered through cloud. For 2 seconds, water and rail speak the same fluent hush. I watch a lantern on a distant porch drift into view. It illuminates nothing but the edge of a wooden step, yet its glow seems to promise that even small lights matter. A thought surfaces. Regrets are like unlit lanterns, not useless, merely waiting. Give them flame and they transform into guidance. Tonight, maybe I can strike one match inside. I recall an old friend I never thanked for steady kindness. He once sat with me on a hospital bench, saying little, staying long. The memory is gentle now, no longer wrapped in fear. I whisper his name to the rain-blurred window. The glass fogs, receiving the syllables, holding them safe until dawn. A promise forms. Tomorrow I will write, if only a short note. The boy stirs, yawns, nestles deeper into his father's coat. The father's eyes close too, trust suspended in the humming dark. Their synchrony makes my chest ache in the best possible way. Above us, luggage racks hold an anthology of ordinary hopes. Gift bags, violin cases, a single sunflower wrapped in newspaper. I imagine each item's story unspooling at arrival. Sunflower for an apology. Violin for an audition at noon. Gift bag for a birthday that always rains, yet never disappoints. The train begins a long, gentle curve. Carriage tilts, bodies sway like reeds in shallow water. Speed eases, sentence lengthens, thought slows. Fog seeps from the fields, flowing between telegraph poles like spilled milk. It muffles even the rain, drawing a soft blanket over every sound. Silence inside grows plush, inviting dreams to slip off shoes. A discreet chime announces the next stop, 15 minutes ahead. Most passengers remain motionless, already traveling deeper than tracks allow. I smile. The journey within often outruns steel and timetable. I take a final glance at those farmhouse lanterns. They appear farther apart now, tiny constellations on the Earth's curved skin. Each one steadies the horizon, stitching darkness with small, steadfast light. I feel my own lantern glow somewhere beneath ribs. It flickers, not from doubt, but from gentle exhaustion, ready to dim into rest, not extinguish. Eyes grow heavy. Rain, rails, breath converge into a single river of sound. Thoughts thin, sentences falter, commas stretch into open space. The carriage settles as if exhaling after a long-held note. Outside, drizzle softens, leaving only the occasional drip's punctuation. Within, sleepers drift deeper, unburdened voyagers and shared quiet. I surrender the last fragments of wakefulness. Imagine stepping into a dream station where every lantern stays lit, guiding travelers to platforms named Mercy, Patience, Home. The train hums on, a lullaby engine rolling through the hush. My pulse aligns with its rhythm, steady and slow. Somewhere beyond the next invisible field, sleep waits with open arms. I close my eyes. Lanterns fade into warmth behind lids. Night carries us all gently toward morning. Rain has found its perfect tempo tonight, a gentle syncopation against the carriage glass. I let the sound seep inward, filling the small hollows between heartbeats, until everything inside moves at the same forgiving pace. The train drifts through open pastureland. Moonlight, half veiled by cloud, lays a pale ribbon across dew-slick grass. Cattle rest in dark, patient clusters, their forms heavy yet unburdened. They remind me that stillness too is a kind of journey. Overhead lamps glow low, firefly pools suspended above the aisle. Their light peels soft gold from luggage racks, from folded umbrellas still beaded with rain, from the silver rings on a dozing woman's hand, each ring quietly chronicling a promise once spoken. Across from me sits a young man in a navy overcoat. He studies an old photograph beneath the lamplight, thumb brushing the edges in slow circles, as though warming the faces inside. From here I glimpse two children, a picnic blanket, and a span of river shimmering in summer sun. The sight tugs at a sleeping ache I didn't know remained, that longing to pause time at its gentlest hour, and keep it breathing in a jacket pocket. The wheels catch a new cadence, murmuring over a sequence of tighter joints in the rail. Click, click, pause, click, click. Each gap feels like a comma, inviting thoughts to finish half-formed sentences. We move so quickly through entire seasons, through friendships we assumed would last, through versions of ourselves we barely meet. Before the next station light rises, a faint breeze wanders the aisle, carrying the scent of damp eucalyptus from someone's coat. It blends with electric heat and distant coffee grounds, conjuring a memory. Winter mornings in a quiet apartment, kettle hissing, windows fogged, the day still undecided. We pass an unmanned crossing, red lights blinking politely into the dark. For a moment the train horn sounds, not loud, only firm, as if reminding any listening night creature that something purposeful is passing through. Purpose, a word that once felt like a suitcase I could never pack correctly. Tonight it seems lighter, like a single scarf folded in a coat pocket, warm when needed, forgettable when not. Maybe purpose is simply continuing forward, with steady breath and a willingness to notice lanterns in the rain. The young man lowers his photograph, eyes closing at last, photo resting like a fragile petal on his knee. I offer him a silent wish, that whatever warmth lives between those worn edges follows him into sleep. Stations drift behind us, Stonebrook, Elmsford, names that sound half-dreamt. At each, the doors part briefly, releasing a breath of cool air laced with wet loam. Nobody boards, nobody leaves, yet the ritual persists, a small ceremony honoring possibility itself. Opposite the window, my own reflection appears and dissolves in intervals, superimposed over farmland, over distant hedgerows. I look older and softer in this borrowed darkness. Somehow the rain edits away sharp angles of worry. I remember an evening class long ago, the professor quoting a poet. We travel farther in thought than in miles, and sometimes arrive wiser, empty-handed. Back then I underlined the phrase, intent on becoming wiser. Tonight I'm content with empty-handed, palms open to whatever hush drifts in. Someone coughs, once gently, then settles. The speaker above my head flickers alive. Next stop, Williford, 5 minutes. The announcement is quiet, almost embarrassed, to interrupt the cradle of sound. Williford, I visited once as a child. Fed swans with crusts of bread beside a stone footbridge. I recall the swans less than the sunlit water, how it held sky and cloud in equal measure, teaching me that opposites can live together, without erasing each other's reflection. The memory slips away, replaced by the landscape outside. A row of alder trees bowing in the drizzle, their branches tossed with silver beads. Beyond them, a farmhouse window glows amber, curtains drawn but breathing gently in the breeze. I imagine a solitary reader within, book balanced on knees, pausing now and then to savor the hush. Between word and world, our carriage begins to slow, each wheel turning with longer exhale. Rain quiets on the roof, pat, a space, pat, as if testing its own capacity for rest. The door to the next car slides open. The conductor steps through, hands clasped behind his back. He moves so soundlessly, the shadows barely notice. Passing my seat, he nods, eyes kind yet distant, a lighthouse keeper tending moving shores. Outside, Williford's platform emerges, a modest strip of concrete, flower boxes brimming with sleepy marigolds, lamp posts tipped with halos of mist. We pause. Nobody boards, nobody leaves. Still, I feel the station's quiet pride, an offering shelter to the moment. Then, almost shyly, we drift forward again. Wheels pick up their softened hymn. The platform lanterns shrink, turning to fireflies, then vanish behind gauze of rain. I sink deeper into the seat, bones loosening, thoughts slowing. Sentences shorten, commas lengthen into silent ellipses. The last thing I notice is the muffled heartbeat of rails beneath the floor. Steady, slower, teaching every cell to dim its light gently. Beyond the window, night stretches wider, kinder, a dark canvas rinsed clean by rain. I let eyelids fall, releasing photographs, swans, eucalyptus, even the soft promise of purpose. All of it folds neatly into the hush, like letters slipped under a door. Forewarning to discover. The train continues, a silver thread stitching fields to dreams, and I follow weightless, carried on echoes beneath the rails, already half asleep, already home. Rain fingers the window with a feather's patience, steady taps sliding into long, glistening sighs. I watch each droplet merge with the next, two small rivers joining before they vanish below the frame. The train hums beneath me, a subdued baritone neither hurried nor idle, and the carriage rocks in time, like distant surf coaxing driftwood toward shore. Outside, the countryside rests under a soft graphite wash. Pale birches blur into ash-smudged lines, and damp meadows glow faintly silver where moonlight sifts through cloud. No loud color survives the drizzle. Every hue has chosen hush. An overhead lamp flickers once, settles to a steady amber. Its halo pools on crumpled scarves, half-closed novels, resigned umbrellas. In this faint light, even luggage looks content to pause its wanderings. Across the aisle, a woman fingers a strand of jade beads, letting each sphere click softly along the thread. Her eyelids droop between counts, as though the beads are stepping stones guiding her deeper into dream. I wonder what prayer or memory rides inside that quiet rosary. Perhaps gratitude for journeys completed, or a promise whispered to someone waiting at tomorrow's station. The thought feels gentle enough to keep. We pass an orchard fenced by leaning posts. Bare branches reach upward, etched black against ochre sky, as if sketching notes for a lullaby only trees can sing. I imagine those branches heavy with blossoms come spring, the scent drifting through open windows of a daytime train. A subtle chime overhead. Next stop, Quiet Haven, in 10 minutes. I smile at the name. It sounds invented by someone who loved stillness enough to map it. I recall no timetable showing such a place, yet tonight I'm willing to believe anything softly spoken. A memory surfaces. Summer camp at 12, canoes bumping a wooden pier at dusk. Bullfrogs drummed a slow heartbeat across the lake, and for the first time I learned how darkness could shelter rather than scare. That welcome hush feels close now, riding these rails. The carriage door slides open. The conductor steps through, coat speckled with rain he carried in from the vestibule. He checks no tickets, only scans the sleepers, as though counting dreams to be sure none went missing at the last curve. When our eyes meet, he nods, then moves on, a lighthouse keeper satisfied with the beam. A teenage boy nearer the window sketches in a spiral-bound pad. Charcoal smudges sculpt a locomotive cresting a bridge, steam unfurling like a dragon admitting it's tired. His brow furrows, then eases. He shades one final cloud, drops the pencil, and folds into sleep without erasing a thing. I envy that trust in unfinished lines. We ease past the siding of freight cars, dormant giants flecked with rust. Graffiti blooms along their ribs, names I cannot parse. Bright echoes of dusk adventures. Art made for passing glances feels strangely pure. No applause expected, just a quick spark to widen someone's eyes. Quiet Haven appears, 2 lampposts, wooden shelter, flowerbeds brimming with night-wet time. No passengers wait, yet protocol holds. The doors part in a sigh. Cool, cedar-tinged air wanders down the aisle, stroking faces, stirring paper edges, reminding us the world is wider than glass. I consider stepping off, spending the night beside those timid lamplight pools, counting drops until dawn sketches pale watercolors across the east. But my body stays seated, lulled by the rhythm it has married. Possibility itself is sometimes enough. The doors close, lamps recede. Quiet haven drifts backward, a mild constellation shrinking into fog. Its name lingers like a note resolved on a piano. One last vibration before true silence claims the string. Thought turns to friendships that faded the same way. No quarrel, only distance taken at a slow, inevitable pace. I hold them in memory like unclaimed stations at night. Brief lights remembered fondly, never quite left behind. Rain slackens, scattered drops tap a quieter code. In the hush, my pulse sounds louder than the wheels. Steady, forgiving, older than whatever regret tries to rise. I follow its rhythm, let it carry stray worries away. The woman with jade beads has fallen asleep. Fingers still touching the final bead like a comma left mid-sentence. A soft smile curves her lips, as though some answer reached her in dream before the question could finish. Far off, a fox darts through head-high grass, its brief silhouette captured by our passing lights, then released to the dark with no story demanded. Not every moment needs to be saved. Some are finest unpossessed. The teenage artist snores once, a small confession to the tranquil aisle. His sketchpad tilts, and the train sway adds an accidental pencil mark, a gift of motion he may keep or erase come morning. I hope he keeps it, proof that journeys contribute to art. Clouds thin. A single star glints between tatters of mist, hitchhiking across the sky alongside us. I align my next breath with that faint light, inhaling until ribs loosen, exhaling until eyelids meet. We cross a low viaduct. Below, water widens under moonlit lace. The reflection of our carriage ripples once, then settles, like a signature acknowledging both motion and stillness at once. Another gentle chime, 30 minutes to the final stop. The words drift around me weightless. Time has surrendered urgency. I focus on the spaces between heartbeats, finding whole fields of calm where grass never needs mowing. Rain ceases. Leftover droplets track lazy paths down the window, beads of glass returning to glass. Their unhurried descent mirrors the slowing of thought. Sentences shortening, vowels drawn long. I rest my head against the pane, feel ghost vibrations of tracks already passed. Somewhere behind, quiet haven glows just enough to guide late moths to safety. Ahead, another nameless field waits to be translated into dream. Eyes close. Rails murmur finale phrases and soften percussion. For a breath I hover at the threshold of sleep, carried by a train that knows every synonym for hush. Then I drift across, sure of gentle arrivals, in a night stitched with stations named after quiet things. Rain has settled into a softer register, less a percussion now, more a persistent hush. Each drop lands on the window like a thought too gentle to speak aloud. The train moves as though gliding over velvet. Its low hum nestles into the chest, steady enough that my pulse soon mimics the rhythm. Outside, faint hedgerows blur past. A charcoal seam stitching field to field. Beyond them, sheep huddle in pale clusters, their silhouettes flickering beneath a shy crescent moon. A reading lamp above me casts warm gold, just bright enough to paint calm halos on every folded coat. Pages of a forgotten magazine rest on the seat beside me, its glossy photos half shadowed, half asleep. Across the aisle, a man in a linen shirt adjusts his glasses, then closes the worn novel he's held for 3 stops. He lingers on the cover with something like farewell, as if the story has returned him safely to himself. The wheels catch a new cadence over a set of older rails. Click, click, breath. Click, click, breath. Each gap between clicks feels wider, inviting thoughts to stretch out and uncurl. I lean nearer the window. Condensation makes the glass hazy, so I draw a small circle with my fingertip, clearing just enough to watch a solitary barn slide by. Its roof glistens silver under the moon, and for an instant I picture the hay inside, breathing the same slow air I do. Memory surfaces. Teenage years spent rehearsing piano pieces in dim practice rooms, metronome ticking steady and indifferent. Back then I fought the beat, racing ahead or lagging behind, impatient for music to finish teaching me patience. Tonight the train gives a gentler lesson. No pendulum, only rails guiding pace. A quiet cough drifts from 3 rows back. Then stillness returns, thicker than before, like moss spreading over stone. We glide through a hollow where fog mutters low to the ground. Trees emerge and vanish, their trunks pale as drifting ghosts, yet friendly. The scene reminds me of bedtime stories, told by a grandmother who always refused villains. Every tale ended with tea and safe homes. A small girl wrapped in her mother's scarf sleeps 2 seats ahead. Her thumb braces lightly against her chin, dreaming fingers curved as though holding an invisible string. Each time the carriage rocks, her braid sways like a slow pendulum, marking moments too gentle for clocks. Announcement lights blink on. The conductor's voice arrives, a quiet ribbon of words. Next call, Meadowbridge, 15 minutes. We thank you for traveling. He sounds as if he's whispering so as not to wake the night. Meadowbridge. I recall passing it once in daylight. River beneath the platform, herons tracing bright arcs overhead. The name alone conjures water and openness. Yet tonight I'm content merely to imagine. A young couple share earbuds near the door. Their heads tilt toward each other, both eyes closed, song curling around them like low-embered fire. Now and then one mouth softens into a near smile. I sense they hear the same chord but dream different pictures. Rain light flickers when we enter a brief tunnel. Window becomes mirror. For a breath, I face my own reflection, lit by a lantern glow that is only the lamp behind me. I look calmer than at any point today. Tunnels, it seems, can prove serenity is possible by showing it lacking moments earlier. We emerge, and landscape returns, darker for the contrast yet somehow kinder. Drops on the glass resume their slow migration, each one tracing an invisible path downward, teaching persistence without fuss. Thought drifts to a letter unanswered on my desk at home. A friend asked how I've been holding up, offered recipes for rainy afternoons, enclosed a dried sprig of rosemary. I've kept meaning to reply, but days folded over themselves like pages left too long and damp. Here, with nothing demanded but presence, the reply begins to form. Not in sentences yet, just warmth. We cross an aging trestle. Water below glints slate blue. A single swan carves a trailing V across the surface, its wake shimmering under scattered starlight. I inhale, letting the image settle somewhere safe. Breathing slows. Words inside my mind shorten. Syllables dropping like pebbles into a clear pond. Ripples widen, then fade to smoothness. The man with the novel removes his glasses, folds them carefully, sets them in his pocket, and leans back with a sigh that is both ending and beginning. Book closed, eyes closed, story continues privately. We pass an unlit platform. Benches gleam rain silver, clock hands pointing to a time that feels outside ordinary hours. Doors remain closed, yet I feel an invitation to arrive someplace unplanned, to step into night and simply listen. I keep the idea but stay seated. Sometimes a journey is strongest when unseen. Speakers chime again. Meadowbridge in 5. Carriage air stirs with faint anticipation, but most passengers hardly move. Their dreams have longer tickets than their bodies. Outside, faint college towers rise on a distant hill, their windows pinpricks of study lamps burning past curfew. I imagine students inside, textbooks open, minds wandering farther than the syllabus. Perhaps they glance up, hear our train in the rain, and let the sound grant them pause. A final drizzle slants across the pane, thinning to occasional taps. Raindrops saying goodbye one by one. In their place, soft silence grows, spreading like dusk ink in water, mild, unquestioning. Meadowbridge lights appear, amber clusters floating in mist. We slow, wheels whisper. I feel the subtle shift of weight forward. Doors sigh open. A single passenger rises, coat over arm, steps out, vanishing into the halo of the platform lamp. The rest of us remain seedlings of sleep, roots deep in upholstery. Doors close. Train gathers itself. pulls free of the station with the ease of a subdued exhale. Lights fade behind, yet the rhythm continues, steady as trust. Inside, heads tilt, pages flutter to laps. Breaths align with wheel clicks. Click space, and the gap between each sound widens into meadow after meadow of quiet. I let my eyes fall shut. Tracks become a lullaby too deep for words, carrying every thought downstream. Heartbeat and wheels keep perfect time. Rain withdraws, leaving only its memory, a silver aftertaste in the air. Somewhere farther on, the train will stop again, but for now the world is motion and stillness braided together. I drift between them, content to glide beneath the hush, soft as the final drop that lingers on glass, before slipping into darkness, before sleep. Rain returns in easy sighs, each droplet a tiny footstep across the pane. It feels familiar, almost familial, as though the weather itself remembers me. The train glides deeper into countryside night, wheels humming a low hymn that rests behind the ribs. Clouds hang close to the earth, turning moonlight into diluted milk. Outside, telephone poles pace the tracks, lean silhouettes linked by slack silver wires. Those wires once carried news faster than any horse. Now they seem content to hum old secrets. Inside, carriage lamps glow like sheltered candles, steady, protective, neither bright nor dim. Their light settles on wool coats, on thermos lids that gleam like quiet coins. 2 rows ahead, an elderly couple share one blanket, plaid and frayed at the edges. The woman fingers the fringe absent-mindedly, braiding and unbraiding with breaths that grow slower. Across the aisle, a graduate student annotates a stack of pages, highlighter gliding in pastel roadways along margins. Every so often his eyes close mid-sentence, pen hovering like a paused pendulum. I lean back, palms up on my knees, letting the train's motion finish stray thoughts. There is comfort in being carried, in surrendering navigation to rails older than memory. We pass an unlit siding, rusted freight cars wearing graffiti like colorful sleep. Rain beads along their riveted skins, tiny constellations that shine for no audience. A faint static crackles overhead. Then the conductor's voice, soft as folded felt. Next call, Thornwillow Junction, 7 minutes. Please mind the step if you rise. Thornwillow. I've never left the train there, yet the name invites a story. I picture thorn bushes heavy with dew, owls perched on crooked willow branches, a platform lit by 2 shy lanterns. The graduate student stifles a yawn, caps his pen, stacks his papers square. He mutters a formula under breath, something about limits approaching grace. The old telegraph wires flash briefly with lightning, just a silver gasp in the distance. I imagine the spark reviving a century's worth of messages. Safe arrival. Send love. Home by Friday. Across from me sits a teenage girl, wearing mismatched socks and headphones draped around her neck. She sketches raindrops on the fogged glass with one fingertip, each circle joining the next until it forms a sleeping cat. Her mother, perhaps, dozes beside her, chin tucked, hands clasped like a closed book. Stray strands of hair tremble with every curve of the track, a gentle metronome marking time to dream. The train crosses a modest bridge. Below, a river hefts the moon's broken reflection. For a breath, water and rail harmonize, 2 instruments playing the same nocturne. Memory surfaces. Summers at a distant cousin's farm, where electric fences ticked with latent charge, and my uncle swore you could hear messages in the clicking. We'd press ears to wooden posts, pretending each pulse spelled a secret name. A station sign blurs by. Hollows Gate, population only guest. No platform lights, only a single porch lamp, and the ghost of someone closing a door. Inside, the air carries peppery hints of black coffee, brewed somewhere down car by an insomniac traveler. The aroma mingles with rain-scented wool, forming the perfume of persistent night journeys. I smooth fog from the window, catch my reflection soften, nearly translucent. Behind my faint outline, hedgerows sway, like slow applause given to darkness itself. Thought drifts to clocks, how they rule daylight yet lose authority here. On trains, time becomes elastic, Stretched by motion, soothed by repetition. The carriage dims one notch further. Automatic lights sensing widespread drowsiness. Shadows thicken in kind response, offering privacy to half-finished dreams. A toddler whimpers then quiets, when a lullaby hum brushes his ear. The melody is off-key, perfect in its imperfection, sliding the child gently back toward sleep. Outside, telegraph wires appear again, thin lines drawn across wet charcoal sky. They remind me of staff paper for unwritten music, notes waiting to be caught by early birds at dawn. We begin to slow. Wheel beats stretch into languid syllables, each one longer than the last. Rain eases too, as though adjusting tempo to match. Thornwillow Junction emerges. A modest shelter, ticket booth closed. Puddles glowing under sodium lamps. Doors sigh open. No one disembarks from our car. Yet the platform seems grateful for the visit. I watch droplets leap from roof edge to puddle, ripples widening without argument. Sometimes arrival is only a gesture, a brief acknowledging of possibility. The doors close, the train inhales, then releases into forward glide. Thornwillow drifts backward, lamps shrinking to tingling stars. Before dissolving in mist, a distant fox crosses a field, caught in our lights for heartbeat length. Its eyes reflect twin moons, then vanish into tall grass unmoved by questions. Silence inside grows textured, not absence but layered hush. Breaths, pages turning in dream, window seal whispering against rain's retreat. My own eyelids lose resolve. Words dim into shapes, shapes into softened glow, until even thought adopts the sway. Above, telegraph wires fade behind more confident dawn. They've whispered through another night and kept their counsel. The secrets remain safe. Before sleep wraps me whole, I tuck one promise into the quiet, to meet the coming daylight with the same gentleness. These rails have shown tonight. Heartbeat slows to match wheel beat softens to match rain beat, and everything inside finds common time. The world, unseen, continues passing, yet here in this moving hush, I have nowhere to be but carried, nowhere to go but deeper inward. Thought exhales its final sentence, leaving only rhythm, only whisper. The train glides on, and I drift with it, weightless as the old wire's forgotten messages, content to be unread until morning.